said, every place has their unique challenges, especially in a non-profit organization. So I think he has shared at times how to, first of all, how to being a leader, how to always stay enthusiastic and positive in spite of sometimes you may not get the response you may expect from the effort we are putting. So how to keep going in spite of not getting the appropriate response you may have in mind.
First thing is adjust your expectations. And like when devotees go on book distribution, I like to, can you hear me back there?
Yes.
Sorry. When devotees go on book distribution, I say don't go out to sell a book. Just go out to get purified. And if you live with that level of expectation, then you'll never be disappointed. If you have an expectation that people will do what I say and they'll be ecstatic about everything and never want to cooperate, you won't be able to sustain that. People are people. But if you're methodical, dispassionate, I mean, you can't be completely dispassionate because we're humans and we deal with other humans and we become attached emotionally, and we really want to help people. But that's one of the first things. And the second thing is when you deal with issues, then it's nice to have a trusted group that you can talk to. At ISV, we started really small. It was a tiny, tiny little thing. And I saw as we started to grow, there were struggles, problems. And at that time, I was temple president. I didn't start as a temple president. We didn't have, we weren't in on the first couple of years. It was just in a house. But then I realized that there were problems that I didn't want to deal with alone. So that's when I started depending more on counsel. And I take the issues, problems, and say, this is what's going on with this and that. And then the devotees would work it out amongst themselves. Instead of it all coming back to one leader having to deal with the grief of various reversals that are inevitable. And that goes to expectation, which is be ready for people to break your heart. Because you can take care of people and then later they change their mind or they move away or all kinds of things happen. But you'll see as you just keep going, it'll all turn out okay. I mean, the material world's, everyone's always moving around and it's unpredictable what's going to happen next. All you know is it's going to change. So if you don't get to, you have to be a little bit, allow it to be a little bit fluid. If you want to be more specific or ask more questions, you can. I'll take a few more minutes.
I like the question which was talked about in the Disciple Sangha, and then I think Guruma also mentioned the answer to it, and the last question was there about how to stay enthusiastic also when it's not, when you may not, I think the question was you may not be on focus or something like that, and how do we stay enthusiastic about things and still, and then Krishna mentioned steadiness, that we just keep doing our service to the best of our potential, and that should keep us going. And I think Ramaja also just now answered, mentioning about that one, if we modify our expectations, then that can help. I think I get a little. It's personal, but I'll share. And I get bored, stuck, because when she asks me something or discusses something with me, then I tend to answer as if what I've learned from the scriptures or from other devotees or something like. But I think she's just wanting to share, and that's where I think I miss the connection there. That probably I need to be a better listener.
Yeah, well,
can be a problem solver.
yeah, the Grihastha ashram is a very important ashram because your mate is your mirror, and you also have such an opportunity to see how you're developing in Krishna consciousness by seeing if you're developing tolerance and that you're able to rise above various situations, which is pretty much the same thing. And also learning to communicate in ways that you can solve problems. Like when Nirkula and I are discussing things, if we take time to try to listen for a little while and understand, oftentimes when we're busy and we're doing, when I say you, I mean when most people are working and they're in family life, they go through, they're very busy and they don't get a specific time to talk. Oftentimes, talking about issues is incidental because everyone's moving in different directions, taking care of what they have to take care of, and the conversation may be slightly superficial. But if you make specific times to sit and talk more deeply, what we've found is there usually are layers, and you have to keep talking because you might be able to then discern something from the other's normal way of saying things, that there's something deeper there that you haven't gotten to. But when you can get to the real issue and understand one another, there's a real surge of energy. Because oftentimes we carry these slight differences around as a burden, and it distracts us from doing what we want to do. Do you want to say more about it?
It's funny you bring this up because we had breakfast with some God brothers and a God sister. I was sitting with a God sister, and she was saying, you know, when I try to tell him he wants to fix it, and there's nothing to fix it about. It's a health issue for him. She said there's nothing to do to fix it. I just want him to listen, but he's so much in the mode and he wants to fix it. So I said, well, maybe you just. She goes, he's 70 years old. He's not gonna. But it's nature too. It's nature. So sometimes if communicating with each other, if we just start the conversation by saying, I want to share something with you, but that's all I want to do. I'm not asking you to fix it. I'm not asking even for advice, or just state what it is you'd like from each other when you start those conversations, and then that might help. It just clarifies it right in the beginning, and then you get into habits. I mean, you know, it's our nature to want to fix things for each other, and you know, we see problems. I think they say that that's the nature more of a man. You know, he wants to fix it for you. He wants to fix it, and that's a good thing. Because sometimes, you know, that's what we need. But when you just want to be heard, which is also a thing with women, we just want to be heard sometimes. So maybe you just start the conversation by letting each other know whatever you were going to talk about. You just let each other know what it is, what you're looking for, what kind of support you're looking for in the conversation. Would that help?
And taking specific time to do it.
Yeah.
If you do it when you're passing each other in the hallway, it doesn't have the same effect as when you say, let's take time to talk, and you schedule an hour for yourselves. You're so busy and you're doing so much for others, and you need time for yourself. And part of that is being able to just talk, and then you can dig down and find what are the points that are really important to you.
I'll just add.
Okay.
So we've decided to conduct at least 2 programs a month. Big level home programs. But sometimes it feels a little burdensome, anxiety provoking. should, or is it okay to have that type of anxiety and just carry on with what we're doing? Program turns out,
Yeah.
phenomenal ultimately, but before that, it's just very stressful.
And people who come to programs don't know how hard it is to put them together. They just think like, hey, thanks. But it is hard. We put on programs in our house for 16 years, every week. And it takes, actually, it helped us a lot because we always try to keep the house in really good shape. Because we knew we were just gonna have to fix it up anyway when people keep coming. And it, we take extra care worshiping the deities, we take extra care cleaning the house, put everything in order, get rid of stuff that we don't need. And it's really one of the ways that you can make a lot of advancement as a grahasta. Is have. I hope that goes into the AI database. So, and with any question about over endeavor, you have to see how you feel later. Like you said, you feel okay about it once it's done. A little anxiety isn't necessary, Prabhu said. And when you do some yajna, there's always a yajna, getting it done. That's why we have that context, is that you really did a yajna. And especially if you're doing it for preaching, then the rewards are amazingly high. But you have to see, and if it starts getting to you so that you can't do your other services, or you feel like it's draining energy from you, then you can amend it so that it works better for you. Consistency, doing things over a long period of time, is much more effective than scaling up too fast and then getting burned out. That's consistency over time is really effective. At ISV, it's been like that for years and years. We haven't pushed too hard to do a lot of big, huge things, except for our Bhukta Shikusha and different preaching things. We've pushed really hard. But just enough so that we stay vitally engaged. So there's something for us to jump to. You know, Prabhupada said about management was that always have a fresh challenge for devotees who want to rise up and meet. And, it's important for us to have, each one of us to have a fresh challenge, so we don't reach a plateau and just stay there.